Oh my god, it's a live vlog. Live again 2 weeks in a row. Get started in just a moment.
I saw it with my own two eyes, so you can wipe off that grin, 'cause I know where you've been. It's all been a pack of lies. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh Lord, I've been waiting for this moment all my life. Oh Lord, can you feel it coming in the air tonight? Oh Lord, oh Lord. Ooh, I remember.
Hello and welcome to Pippa's Live. How are you all? Hope you're all doing well. This is my live vlog. Yeah, one of many, I guess, that will happen this time every week, all going to plan, and things definitely not going to plan. What the hell will I plan for this vlog? And I guess like last week could be kind of a little bit unplanned, like last week. So look, if you've got any questions or anything like that in the chat, please do not hesitate. If you're just a little bit shy, don't be shy. Say hi, say hello, and yeah, join in the conversation, whether you're watching this live or on the replay. Tend to go for about an hour or so as I say hi and hello to the lovely Mallory Gates in the chat. How are you, Mallory? Lovely to see you. And yeah, well, we talk all things going on in around predominantly the vaping scene, but if you want to talk about anything else, yeah, definitely let me know. If you want to come on a live show later, let me know as well, as I say hi and hello and welcome Shannon Brown into the chat. Yes, so there you go. There's a lot of people, I guess maybe around advocacy and stuff like that, that probably don't get to see me live that often. So you know, a lot of people know I'm pretty outspoken about a lot of things, and yeah, and this is no exception. Look, bear with me just one sec. Just the first little techno hiccup, I think. I'm not sure if I'm syncing or if I'm doing a little bit of Chinese movie magic with whatever, so I'm just going to reactivate my camera. Bear with me 2 seconds. What does Grim Green call them? Dangle clacks. That's what he calls them. That's right, dangle clacks. I think that's better. 1, 2, 3. See, this camera. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit technical on you. Sorry, and hi, hello. If you haven't joined before, I am Pippa Star, and obviously, yeah, there you go. What I was going to say is, see this light? I wanted to make sure I didn't run into Grim Green's time slot this week, so I think I've gone way past this time slot. And maybe this will be the new time slot. But look, stay subscribed, click that bell, do all those good things, and you'll be notified when I do go live. Yeah. Anyway, where do we get going from here? So yeah, the light plays games on the camera and the speed and all that sort of thing. Anyway, a few things I guess to talk about this week. Yeah, I think we're going to start having a little bit more fun. I'm thinking of just addressing maybe a few of the tweets, a little bit of the tweet action that happens as well. I want to talk about, you know, who are you anyway? What was that theme all about? Well, who are you in the chat? Let's talk about you guys. Are you vapers? Are you non-vapers? Have you stopped smoking? Are you a dual user? Does this issue affect you? If it does, and from a non-smoking point of view or a smoking point of view, let us know some of your thoughts as we go in the chat or in the comments below if you're watching this after the live. There's also another little bit of a play on that word. Of course, the WHO also is an abbreviation for World Health Organization. And I guess I want to cover a few of these topics from time to time because a lot of people might see certain abbreviations or terms or whatever used in and around, advocacy or vaping advocacy and stuff like that. And thinking, well, God, who are all these people? Who are all these people getting involved? And the World Health Organization, I'll probably talk about a little bit just so we've got a good basic idea who they are, how they maybe come to being, and how effective are they in actually helping world issues. Wow. I'm sure we've all got our own opinions as well on that, so I'll welcome that as well. I'm just seeing who else is looking there in the chat. I'm going to do a little spy reviews. I'm going to go through a few of these. I'm just going to talk about in more of a general sense what sort of vape it is, maybe how can that help a smoker quit smoking and that sort of thing, and talk about maybe some of looking into the black market. I've been looking at the black market a little bit lately, so I might talk about a little bit about that. But let's start off with maybe one of my favorite subjects. And I actually spoke about a little bit last week was let's just call this subject heading Goodbye Simon, or is this Goodbye Simon? So a year ago, Simon put the dunce hat on my head, so to speak, to his glory, and because of a unglorious little error I made during the Senate hearing just 1 year ago. Tomorrow is the end of the 12-month sentence that I've had to serve. And that sentence that I served was penning a tweet to the very top of my Twitter. I'm going to do a little share screen just to show. Look, you can follow me on Twitter at Live Pippers, I believe it is. So rather than Pippers Live Pippers. Anyway, you'll see pinned to the top there that I mistakenly tweeted falsely, You can see the tweet there. But it's been kind of interesting because a lot of the vaping denialists or people who think that we're maybe running in too fast with vaping and we should wait for the science for the 25 years. God knows how that'll work out. But anyway, a lot of those sort of people. And Simon's kind of one of those type of people, I think. Believes that, there's no good, I'm not quoting him, but I guess he's kind of, doesn't feel too good about vaping, let's put it that way. Anyway, called me out. I accidentally said the wrong thing at the wrong time and had that pinned to the top of the page. God, I'm rambling. Get on with it, Pip. 12 months was the sentence we agreed to because I accidentally said the wrong thing at the wrong time, and I apologize for it. But what's really interesting is that whilst all the other anti-vapers have blocked me, Simon hasn't, which has been good, because it's about, blocking the conversation about this topic. I don't think helps anyone, and we'll cover that a little bit more about that with the WHO FCTC discussion later. But with Simon, the big question left in my mind is, now 12 months are up, is he going to just hit that block button or not? Only time will tell. Have to wait and watch next week's episode to find out, I guess, or follow me on Twitter. Let's see what Shannon and Mallory have got to say there in the chat. Shannon Brown was a smoker for 32 years. Yeah, I can almost empathise there. I think I was, 32 years and been a vapor for 9 years. Was never a dual user, right? I quit as soon as I started vaping. Awesome. go you, Shannon. I think that is awesome. And Mallory Gates says, I'm a vapor and I do a ton of advocacy on Twitter, and I've left a 22-year cigarette habit. Been vaping now for 6 years because of an accident. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So, I see you do a ton of advocacy on Twitter, Mallory, and I think that that's absolutely awesome. As I see Shannon around doing similar good things as well. Did Vapor do it? Now, what I want to ask is, I'm so out of tune, out of practice with these lives. So bear with me. I'm human, you know, and left a 22-year cigarette habit. Been vaping now for 6 years because of an accident. I think that's kind of interesting. So was there something that happened as a result of that accident that made you think, oh my God, I better stop smoking? Was that what the turning key was? The turning point for you? I think that's an important thing to discuss. What is that turning point? What was that catalyst in the whole equation that makes people stop smoking? Because there's a lot of lives to be saved by maybe unlocking that and finding out how people are quitting. So there's that. All right. So I'd be interested to know more. I mean, you know, we've all got our own stories, and I think they're important to tell. So speaking of, right2vape.org, right2vape.org is a good place to share that story. You can also just, you know, tell a short story on Twitter and hashtag, pardon me, 1, meaning the figure 1 billion successes as well. And that helps us kind of collect and collate a bunch of stories, so that way we've got this wonderful resource which we can show people, hey, this is what the results are of being smoke-free and how you became smoke-free, which I think is really, really important. All right. Before I get talking more about the World Health Organization and all that sort of thing, let's give something a little bit of a plug. Been talking to a really, really nice guy by the name of Dr. Colin Mendelsohn. You may have seen him on this channel before. You may have seen him around the place. You might have seen him on the Grim Green channel. You might have seen him just doing some great advocacy work. You might have seen him maybe write some good papers in the science field. So does lots of good work. Really, he's concentrated on smoking cessation, and I stand to be corrected, for got at least 10 years or more. He's been a doctor since the beginning of time, probably 40 odd years, I'm guessing. But yeah, he's wanting to share all his knowledge and everything encompassing, from what I understand, in one unbelievable publication, which is coming out at the 29th, I think, the 29th of November. So watch out for that. Just do a little share screen here. And that's what the cover will look like. Yes, I'm cheating straight off. Let me cheating straight off the Facebook, but there you go. That's what it looks like. That's the publication to look out for. There will be links on Colin Mendelsohn's website at colinmendelsohn.com.au. I believe I'm right there. And there will be links on his Twitter as well. I believe it's just at Colin Mendelsohn on Twitter. But look, I'll let you know on this channel as well when and where and how you can get hold of one of those books as soon as they come out. Or you can also obviously follow him on the Facebook as well. But really, really cool. And I believe I might have even had a little bit to do with a little bit of, just a little section, just a little, maybe a sentence, maybe two sentences, maybe even a paragraph in this book, which is an unbelievably fantastic initiative covering all the things that people need to know to stop smoking and start vaping. So with that said, let's go back to me. Talking to Colin, got chatting to Colin this morning. He might do a special thing on this channel talking about this book shortly after it's launched. So another reason to stay tuned, stay subscribed, click that bell, and keep an eye on the clock on a Friday if you're in Australia on Friday afternoon. It was a Thursday night in the USA or wherever you are in the world, around about this time is where I think I'm going to try and keep positioning a live vlog every week where we can talk about such fantastic things. Let's see what Shannon Brown's got to say. I joined CASA as soon as I became a vapor, and I sent them my story right away. Awesome. And I think that's an important point, because I think vapors, for people who are non-vapors, who look at people like us who are vapors, or look at me like vapors, and they're just got this narrative in their mind, maybe based on something they've heard, they've seen, they've read in the media or whatever, and they really just don't understand. And I think as vapors, we've kind of got this almost instant responsibility, not only just to quit smoking and to try and help our own health, is to also inform others of, what is your story? How are you feeling? I mean, look, I don't like to say that it's a relatively new science, as people who are awake against vaping, ideologically against vaping, like to sort of say, oh, it hasn't been long enough. But I guess the more we tell our stories, the more we can say that if you're classing in this highly modern, technologically modern times, that what are we at? 18 years of this device being on the market with 68 million plus people is not enough time to get the real science out. We've kind of, if you're a vapor, or you're using a safer nicotine product of some sort, we've kind of got a little bit of a responsibility to be able to just help others. Because let's face it, it's amazing. And it's kind of one of those things like, you cannot believe it. Because most people who have tried to stop smoking, we've tried in a number of ways. And it's like, wow, I cannot believe this bloody worked. I cannot believe it. It's kind of exciting. What does Mallory say? I went back to smoking for a few months after that. 1 year haul to a vape shop got me an e-leaf Pico. Our Pico, I used to have a Pico, I've still got one floating around somewhere. What a great little device. And a sub-home tank Jewel used a few weeks because of misinformation. Finally, with a 32 milligram cherry e-juice, I was able to stop smoking. Now I'm down to 6 milligrams and I make my own e-juices, coils and wick, which is absolutely fantastic. So not only is there a whole heap of cost savings in switching from smoking to vaping, if you're able to, sit down and learn and understand a little bit about how to mix your own e-liquid, which I do on my other channel called DIY Down Under, and you can check that Facebook group as well, you can save so much money. Yeah, I've never really had a good go at doing the coil making, but yeah, all power to people who can. And look, I know enough to get the right amount of wire and all that sort of thing, and it's important, I think, for survival, to be able to understand how to do these things, which I think is really, really awesome. So up to 32 milligrams, and it's kind of interesting. I will touch on this point, although I didn't plan to. There's been some murmurs. I think that's the right way to put it. There's been some indicators, is probably a better way to put it. As I've been doing my research, which I touched on last week, in around a lot of the literature of the research and the science and the paperwork that's floating around from people who are involved in lobbying and maybe even advising health decisions in Australia, seem to be indicating, at least, I'm not saying this is a thing, I'm just saying that all indications from the literature that I've seen, and I've seen a lot over the last couple of weeks, particularly, seem to indicate that they may be lobbying the TGA when they review the nicotine caps in, I believe, January or February next year. Don't hold me to that. I think they're going to try and push as one of their measures to try and push for a cap of 20 milligrams. But it's kind of really important that people are, as I said, being able to tell their story. And that is really important. That one point there that Mallory makes with using 32 milligrams is really important to be heard. Because maybe 20 wouldn't have cut the mustard. She's down to 6 milligrams now. But maybe there wasn't that breakthrough. I mean, what? You said you'd try before, didn't you? You went back to smoking for a few months and then had a 1 year haul and then had another go and thought, oh, maybe I'm not doing it right. I guess you're probably thinking something like that. Might as well give it another go. There must be something in it. And, but dual use because of a bit of misinformation. Oh, God. And we'll have a look at it on Twitter shortly. I shared this poster, really just outlining some classic misinformation 101 from inside one of the Aboriginal health sectors during the week. Unbelievable. Anyone to say that vaping is as dangerous as smoking or as bad for you as smoking, I can just say, prove me wrong. That I will say that vaping is at least 95% smoke, at least 95% safer than smoking. Not because it's a figure that I made up, or not because it's a figure that the Royal College of Physicians are utilizing as an indicator so that people have got a fair idea of the expected amounts of harms conservatively with vaping. It just is. Prove me wrong. There's no way it is any more than 5% as harmful as smoking. Which is kind of interesting because as I talk about some of the science papers and that sort of thing I look at, and, you know, one in the cap of 20 milligrams, I've lost my train of thought. That, yeah. I lost my train of thought. Brain fart. Yeah, you're seeing these sort of people drive this really poor science as well in other areas. Anyway, let's have a look at some other areas. Let's have a look at some of the fun tweets of the week. Maybe I'll get fancy soon and I'll get like a little bumper and go, funny best tweets of the week. I've got all the technology and the know-how. I should just do something like that. I'm just happy I fell into the Nide vaping groups quickly, like Grim Green and Legion Vapes, Hunky Vape, which is cool. Well, they're all cool people. I learn from people all over the world. So many people keep me going with perfect advice. Awesome. Absolutely. And, you know, this so underestimated, the sharing and exchanging of great advice. It's really, really, really important. Because you know, as I'm researching deeper and deeper, the people who are making the decisions about vaping products, particularly here in Australia, they're not experienced. They don't understand. Sure, they'll call themselves researchers and, oh, I've got more dots and dashes and letters after my name to somehow justify that they're worth more to you and they understand the science better. But seriously, do they? Are they the ones who were smoking for 32 years? Been able to find a device to go, holy shit, wow, I actually don't feel like a cigarette. I'm actually feeling healthier. I can walk upstairs better. I've got more breath when I do. They just don't, do they? Anyway, as you can see, my brain is like going at, yeah, warp speed. Brain farting and warp speeding today. That's Interesting. Or I want to pick on some of the interesting tweets I have shared and maybe some that I've seen. I want to pick up on some misinformation since I touched on it earlier. Then we'll have a look at some other stuff and just share some of my further thoughts on it. And, of course, your opinions, whether you're watching this live or in the replay. Now, this is the one I wanted to show you. This is the one I wanted to show you. This is interesting. Yes. Now keep in mind that I'll preview this by saying the most amount of money that comes out of Australian Department of Health coffers to help reduce the amount of smoking go towards Aboriginal communities here in Australia. Now, so they should, because it's a national shame that around 40% of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders and our good Indigenous population are smoking still. While the rest of the population, my guesstimated figure, is probably around about 15%. You know, way more than double what the rest of the population is smoking. It's because they're not being looked after, or haven't been looked after for so long, have had tobacco indoctrinated within their culture. Well, when I say tobacco indoctrinated their culture, I should be more specific in saying the English or the white person tobacco, because they were using tobacco ages ago, but that's another whole different story. But I'm talking about, you know, this stuff that's laced with ammonium that makes you hooked faster and all that sort of thing. We should be helping that community more than any other community, right? But we've got a situation on our hands where they're basically, and I can tell you, and I'll share more as we proceed, they're getting more misinformation about vaping than any other sector that I'm seeing around Australia at the moment. All right, what am I talking about? Let's just have a look at this, shall we? It says it there, loud and clear. Not sure if you can see that. I'll read it out for you. Vaping is just as bad as smoking. Wrong. Vaping is bad for your heart and lungs. Is it bad for your heart and lungs? It's 95% less harmful for those areas than smoking. Yeah. Vaping still contains many poisonous chemicals. Yeah, but let's get in perspective and see, this is what this does. They like to inflate the issues. I could sit here, I could say water. We've got lots of water. It's full of chemicals. I drink water and it's so full of chemicals I can't even drink it. It will have chemicals of trace elements. Absolute trace elements. As I welcome Rorg out of the corner of my eye in the chat. Welcome, and I'll get back to the other comments shortly. But yeah, it's all about perspective. We're talking about micro amounts, trace elements, and I'm currently redoing a short study that I was doing. I'll let you guys know when it's done. Basically comparing and utilizing proper science, of course, in comparing the amounts of chemicals or harmful chemicals and what amounts the chemicals need to be at before they actually become a harm. See, because the point being is, whilst I've got all that going on in the background and I'll present further information regarding vape chemicals versus water chemicals versus chemicals found in normal air environments, the amount of chemicals are trace elements. They're very, very minute in vaping. You know, It's ridiculous. It really is like saying I'm not going to drink water out of the tap, although I've got a proper, wonderful, beautiful, clear water, saying, although my local council and government reassure me that it's fine. You know, I've never become sick from my tap water. Sure, I do like a little bit of filtered water and all that sort of thing from time to time, but yeah, it's kind of silly, isn't it? Anyway, contains many poisonous chemicals. Sure, it might be true, but 95% less than in a cigarette. Vaping is just as addictive as smoking. Well, no, it's not. It's really not. That's a blanket statement that is so far misdirected. It is just completely and utterly wrong. There is no... Jesus Christ. I could do a lecture on each point here. I could do a lecture on each point. It is absolutely insane to say vaping is just as addictive as smoking. Vaping doesn't contain ammonium, for one. That helps actually shoot that nicotine up to the nicotine receptors to act faster. Sure, it works well, but it doesn't contain tar and all those other horrible things to your system. But I guess when the point is addictive, what is addictive? What is dependence? You know, it's not as addictive as smoking, and there's no study that can prove that. If I'm wrong, prove me wrong, and send me the study that proves without doubt that vaping is just as addictive as smoking. Vaping is just as hard to quit as smoking. I've seen papers to the contrary of that, and I will present them later. But yeah, I just wanted to show that. Yeah, shit tweet of the week. We'll call that shit tweet of the week. We'll call this funny tweet of the week. Oh, look, go and check it out. I won't actually try and read it, but it's a funny one. From Sarah White from the Council, found an Aboriginal paper as well. And let's go back to me for a moment. Let's go back to me. I only meant to go for an hour. My God, I've got so much more to get through yet. Because I'll just ramble. Most people testing don't know how to even use a vape correctly. They burn them up to get those poisonous chemicals, or testing in an open lab. Yeah, that is true to a certain degree. I've been having a look at some papers who have have been probably doing better, rather than, or what they'll do is they'll conflate the puff rate, right? So they might actually bring the temperature down on a vape, and they won't actually burn the coils like they were doing a few years back. I noticed some of the more recent studies that I've been reading have been more about unrealistic puff rates. So they might do 30 in an hour, and you got to sort of think, would you do 30 in an hour? And look, don't quote me on that, because I'm going off the top of my head. There are just some unrealistic puff rates, which would affect, obviously, the heat of the coil. Especially, I think they're mainly at an interim, and when you look at the interim amount of time between each puff, there was ones like 15 seconds and 30 seconds and that sort of thing. So, yeah, there are some dubious science done, and then they'll use some simulation methods and all sorts of other bullshit, other than the real methods or realistic methods in which they're actually used in real life. And that's I guess what's frustrating, because let's face it, we want to understand how they work and why they work so damn well. But if they're not working well, we want to know that. I mean, I do. I don't know about you guys. Let me know. Let me know out there. If there is some real dire issues with vaping, I really want to know. I don't care where the science comes from. I really want to know. But when I can blatantly see the science is coming out denouncing or dismissing or misleading or conflating or doing correlation and causation type of science it makes it darn difficult to get to the real evidence, other than the few papers that we can get to get past all the shit science to get to the good science. Rog, welcome to the chat. Good to see you there. How did 62% of the youth up and quit vaping in the USA? Miracle. Absolute miracle. Look, of course, we know that there was a classic example. There was a classic example of what happened in the 80s when they used the DARE program, the DARE drug program. And, of course, the DARE drug program, when there was the big war on drugs in the 80s. Look, kids, here's a big bad drug. Don't use this drug. But this is what it looks like, so you know what it looks like, guys. Have a look at it. And what happened? Of course, they all went for it. Now, was it coincidence? Just asking the question, was it coincidence or not? That the likes of the Truth Initiative and others and Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, painted buses, decorated ice cream trucks, all sorts of, got posters organised in schools to educate kids about vaping. I mean, guys, and I will reveal this as time goes on. And if you want to personally message me, I'll send you the links. But I have seen things here in Australia worse, believe it or not, they get worse than what I just showed you before on that tweet, of misinformation and educating kids how to use vaping products. It's like they ripped out the carbon copy and copied what they did almost in the States. But they haven't done the buses. I'm waiting for that. All the ice cream trucks. I'm waiting for that. I'm sure that'll happen. Say don't. Because we all know, because we've all been those little bastards, or little bitches in my case, where it's like, look, I don't care what adults are saying, but thanks for the information, and I'm going to run with it and give it a go anyway. So, of course, you run around the back of the toilet block or whatever at school and you have a smoke. You couldn't be told better, but you were educated how. So there's that. And, of course, that's what happened with the failure of the DARE program that I was talking about before. Yeah, of course, they kept on smoking. They kept on using drugs and exacerbating the war on drugs, and it was just a bloody failure. And there was too much to benefit from a lot of Bloomberg money feeding into at least the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, ready for more funding from Bloomberg if vaping kept on being a problem. Now, that might be a bit speculative, but hey, the figures don't lie. Michelle Minton has done a fantastic job exposing that. If you're not following Michelle Minton on Twitter, please make sure you are, and you'll see pinned at the top of her profile exactly what I'm talking about and more. Great person to follow, got some great information on all that and more. So much to talk about. Better leave something for next week and the next week and the next week and the next week. Your perspective is the key word. One of the latest studies shows improvements to the heart, the lungs, and the entire cardiovascular system. You're right, Raw. I did see something out of the corner of my eye about that. And, yeah, there's so much science coming out all the time that's really, really decent. And as part of this research project I'll keep on babbling on about, I intend hopefully making it easier when I get there in a few months' time to pop this all up on a website to make it easily accessible and understandable and really, really good in lay terms or just everyday person terms. As addictive as caffeine. Yeah, it's an age-old argument, Pete, isn't it? Whether nicotine is as addictive as caffeine. Look, very, very similar in composition, as we know. They do attack a different... Well, attack is not the right word, Pip. they do approach our receptors in a very, very similar way as well. But yeah, it's still, people are dependent. Or do we call them addicted? Do we call people addicted? Is there anyone in the room, whether you're watching this live or on the replay, please let us know in the chat. Are you addicted to coffee? I'm addicted. I'm addicted. I'll be the 8th dwarf. I don't know if you know what I mean by that term. The 7 dwarfs were those people from the tobacco companies, were commonly known as the 7 dwarves. They were the ones who said, I do not believe nicotine is addictive. I'll be the 8th dwarf, and I'll say, I believe caffeine is addictive. The same. Because if nicotine's addictive, then caffeine's definitely addictive. Yeah. Because I depend on it every day. So there's those two words that I think are very much in conjecture with each other, very much controversial terms, aren't they? And the way they look at it. Got a couple of coffee lovers. Yep, Shannon, yes, I love my coffee. I self-soothe tiredness with coffee. Absolutely. And coffee and nicotine, they work in similar but slightly different ways, and they make this one beautiful super reaction. And maybe I should get a real scientist on the show at one point. I should try to. Maybe someone like Eliana Ripstein, I think is how you pronounce the name, or a number of others, to explain why the caffeine receptors and the nicotine receptors just when they both work almost like a wonderful orchestra just playing. It's like the violins coming in with the cello, and it's just so beautiful, isn't it? Just a wonderful opening up of the senses and being able to think clearly, see clearly, understand things clearly, be more alert, more alive almost. There's at least a feeling of improvement that you get when you have a bit of a coffee and a vape. I mean, look, let's face it, smokers do as well. Right, during their drug use went up. Yes, absolutely. Their program actually taught kids what to use, how to look for it, etc. Exactly. And this is my point, is that this is what they're teaching schools. So, look, I don't care if I don't get through everything that I intended to today. I can always talk about something next week, right? But when we look back at that poster, and I'll bring it up again, because I think this is a really, really important point to talk about. And if we go over 1 hour today, I'll get over it, right? As long as we're having a good chin wag and we're covering some good stuff. And we're enjoying a vape. Oh, remember that? I wish I had a coffee. Anyway, let's have a look at this again. Like the colours. Like, come on. If this is to teach someone the no message, I mean, vaping is vicious, not delicious. It's like using this really super cool, funky term, right? Let's use this super cool, funky colours and shit. You know? Like, let's use skulls. Like, skull and crossbones are cool to kids. They're not dangerous. Young kids, this is designed for primary school, guys. This is designed for primary school, middle school type of students. When they see this as kind of curious and interesting, maybe that was the purpose. Maybe they knew that from the start. Maybe that's why the people who fund programs, who create posters like this, there's actually millions go into funds for people who drive campaigns like this. So there is that. There was so much talk about the Who. Who are the Who? Who are you? Look, I'm just gonna give you just a quick narrow scope. World Health Organization have two major meeting of the parties, whatever you want to call it, COP. The World Health Organization has two major party summits, if you like, every few years. One is for climate change and one is for tobacco. Yeah? Now, of course, lately we've seen climate change all over the media, right? All over the media. So we bloody should. It's a very important topic. The bloody world's on fire, right? We're flooding everywhere, cyclones everywhere. We've got islands out there off the Australian coast and in around the world that are receding water fast. It's real, it's happening now, and something needs to be done about it, right? Very important. Now, we've also got the tobacco situation. So, again, very important. It's affecting 1 in 7 lives on the surface of this planet. It is affecting them to the point where they are 2 out of 3 more than likely going to have a premature death from using a combustible nicotine product. Very, very important. Now, what's different between the Climate Committee and the Tobacco Committee is the Tobacco Committee do it behind closed doors, not in front of the media. It's all done like a little secretive committee, undercover. Like you can sort of maybe see them. Like you can imagine the classic old scene where you've got those dogs with like I'm sure we've all seen this piece of art. Wish I had it handy now. Where you see the dogs playing cards or playing poker at the table in the underground smoky den. Go figure the irony there. This was kind of what we're meant to picture when one of the world's most key issues is hidden from vaping advocates. So the new Nicotine Alliance in the UK, they applied to have a look. Have a look, see what happens, you know. No. To my understanding, they have no ties to any tobacco company, and so what if they did? Because look, as I tweeted this week, I think the conversation needs to change from I declare that I have no ties with any tobacco company or its subsidiaries or offshoots or whatever, right? To I like to declare whether I want somebody to live or die prematurely. So there's that. So World Health Organization framework on tobacco control has been a thing for a couple of decades. At the beginning of when they started, look, don't hold me to this, I think it was roughly 1997, thereabouts, early 2000s, we were on a path. We were on a path on this planet where we were definitely going to see at least, it appears, 1.1 billion. So that's more than 1 in 7 people at that time on the earth. Now that's about 1 in 7 people. So 1.1 billion people we're going to see die from a tobacco-related illness. Now, isn't it good that we can get these committees to make change and to be able to help our governments and collaborate with the best science and the best technology to solve the biggest problems in the world? Isn't it awesome? Because isn't that what's happening with climate change? Or have they got problems as well? Let's talk about the Framework on Tobacco Convention, though. It's been 2 decades. And guess what the current trend predictor is now? You guessed it. We're still on track. We're still on the same path where we're going to see 1.1 billion lives fall short of the line. In other words, die prematurely from a tobacco-related illness before the end of the century. So what have they done in the last couple of decades to help? And that is the big question. So what we are seeing from the World Health Organization from an Australian standpoint, I can tell you through my research, is we're seeing enveloped and infiltrated, or whichever word you want to use, embedded within the language and the vernacular through a lot of the influential papers of organisations that are governmental and lobbyists style organisations, and the governmental organisations that the lobbyists have infiltrated or have become part of. Within the mantra or within the paperwork or within their guidelines, within their recommendations, there's often being referred to the World Health Organization. Because, of course, that should be an authority, right? Of course. An authority should, where you've got the best technology, the best minds from around the world for a couple of decades or more, should be able to improve the situation, right? But $1.1 billion, 1.1 billion lives were projected to be lost a couple of decades ago, and still are. Something is wrong. Something needs to change. Keep doing the same things. Keep getting the same results. So yeah, COP9 tobacco and COP26 climate. That's right, Mallory. So they're the two different ones. COP26 climate change, COP9 tobacco. So I could go on and talk about the whole vlog just about that. I just want to touch on it, and for those who may not be as in tune as we are here, guys, that are in the chat who might be watching it on the replay, that's just a, we might get into that a little bit deeper later. But the World Health Organization, I mean, if you care about people, you probably care about this subject that we're talking about now, because it really is important. Not only, pardon me, climate change is affecting us in a big way, but clearly the deaths of our families, of our loved ones from smoking, sure, it's still a relevant issue here in 2021, and it's insane. It is absolutely ridiculous, especially when we've got the solution in at our fingertips with safer nicotine products. We've got the solutions. I didn't know what drugs were until police officers come into our schools with a briefcase full of goodies. Mind blown, says Pete. Yeah, that's certainly reeling back to my previous point. Absolutely. It's so true, isn't it? It's so true. What else have we got there? I don't want to... Sorry if I missed a comment. Me hitting chemistry class, playing around with metal sodium and hydrochloric acid was always a fun time. Like, when we're young, we experiment. Exactly. Yeah. We experiment with stuff. Hey, look, speaking of experimenting with some stuff, yeah. Look, as I touched on last week, and I basically declared that, hey, look, I'm sorry if I've disappointed anyone becoming a vape reviewer. Maybe they wanted something different, all that sort of thing. Doesn't matter. I think, as I said, I'm going to talk about it on these live vlogs, and if it helps somebody understand how to quit smoking a little bit easier, that's the intention. Is it to shill a particular brand, make a model? No. Am I grateful to a company if they want to send me a device to talk about on my vlogs? Yeah, sure, absolutely. No problem at all. Will I get rich from it? I'd love to. But seriously, probably not. Anyway, let's have a look. It's one that's been around for a little bit, actually. It's called the Cloud Flask Aspire. And from what I understand, because I don't keep up with all the latest, right? It's too hard. There's so much new stuff coming out of the market. Let the big guns, let Vaping Bogue and all those type of people be the expert reviewers. We'll just talk about it in the context of, do I think it can help you smoke, help you stop smoking? That sort of context, I guess, without making any therapeutic claims, because like, if I make a therapeutic claim here in Australia, oh gosh, I could be in deep doo-doo. Could this help you stop smoking? well, I can say basically in my experience, based on my experience, it's possible or probable or maybe or likely based on the science and the stuff we know so far. Isn't that bloody ridiculous? Anyway, so this Cloud Flask S, what comes in the box with it? Let's have a look. I know that we'll go down low and have a little look. Before I do, let's have a look at a couple of the comments. Mallory Gay says 4% of adults in the USA vape, while 14% of adults smoke, and rising because of over-regulation and taxes, not just from the FDA and government, also organisations like the World Health Organization, and a certain billionaire. I was going to guess I'd say Bloomberg. Anyway, in saying all that, yeah, I think I might have touched on it last week. If I didn't, before I go down low and show this device a little bit more, what you get in the box and all that sort of good stuff. Yeah, it looks in. I've been doing lots of research into the current smoking rates in Australia at the moment. All I can say from the latest and greatest and best information from a multiple amount of sources is that I would average it out, subject to black market conditions and the variables that go on there, and the square root of somebody else's grandmother's former roommate's birthday, and when they celebrated the Australian smoking rate at the moment, what I suspect is somewhere around about 15.5% to 17.5%. So, which means that our smoking rate, in my opinion, based on all that information, I would suggest that it's gone up significantly by at least a couple of percent, in my opinion, based on some good solid information in the last couple of years. That's disturbing. 2% rise would be huge. All right, let's go down low. Let's have a look at it. What do you get in the box? You get a little charging cord, and that's a Type-C USB fast charging cord, and that was a little thing you wrapped it up in, and comes like when you get it, it comes like that, right? It comes like that, which is pretty cool. Right, you get an instruction manual. It's pretty cool. All nicely detailed, and there is even an English version, which is good, promising. Some spare O-rings. There you go. I believe they're O-rings to use around the mouthpiece, and you get a coil, which is kind of disappointing. Not disappointing you get a coil, but you get a coil. As you can see, I've ripped that open and I've already tested it out because I wanted to know a little bit more about this before I spoke about it live, right? So what we've got here, we've got a vape that comes with a little case. You can see it just sort of slides out like that. It does come in different colors and all that sort of thing. Okay. Looking at it from above, and I do apologise if the lighting is a bit shit on that one. The lighting's a little bit shit, or a little bit not the best on that one. I apologise. But look, what you will notice significantly from the top view before we open up, and let's have a look and see how we refill this and all that sort of good stuff. See that? You're looking right at the coil. Actually, let me get my little pointing tool. Yeah, that's the coil right there. That's the top of, I believe, a little mesh coil right there. Oh, amazing. All right. So what you've got, as you would have seen, got these two little tabs on the side. Just squeeze them in, and that just pops off just like that. Now, down the bottom, you'll see you've got these little magnet doodads. These little magnet doodads connect to those magnet doodads in there. You've got the plug and play coil, so easy to use. Plug in and fill up your e-liquid, off you go. You'll notice under here you've got your little pop-up do what's it, and then you fill your e-liquid in that what's it, that little hole there. Because, yeah, I've got all the tech terms, right? I've got all the tech terms down. It's a do what's it. Right. So then, just plug it in like, yay. Plug it in like, yay. You'll notice on the side you've got some airflow. You notice on the side you've got a little USB charging port, and I do apologise with the picture. It does look a little bit average. And on the bottom you've got some venting. Very important point I want to raise about that, and I want to thank Vapor Man for helping me realise this. If you look at this wrapper and that venting, that wrapper when it goes on will cover that venting. Oh, camera froze. See that? That cover when it goes on, it'll cover that venting. Probably not a big biggie because it sort of folds, but that's the venting for the battery. Anyway, I don't think it's a major drawback. I should have done that upside down. Now I've got dribbly bits. Nobody likes dribbly bits. Who likes dribbly bits? Nobody. That's me. Look, in saying that, that's enough down low. We'll go up top and let's talk about it. Have a look at it, and talk about whether I think it'll help somebody stop smoking, because that is what it's all about. All right, that was a little bit fancy. All right, so 5 clicks on, 5 clicks off, normal thing. And instructions, it'll, I believe it's a fixed wattage device from memory. We can go through it. We'll have a look at it together in a moment if you want to. Hello, Blinky. Hello, Blinky. Wow, haven't seen Blinky around for ages. Absolutely ages. Hope you're going well. Probably haven't seen me for ages either. I'm not on the YouTubes all the time. Now, that colour, it's not really my colour. But look, let's talk about the functionality of it just quickly. I think it's really kind of interesting that they've taken this approach where this is the closest that your mouth is ever going to get to a coil on a device. Normally the distance from the top of the coil to where you vape with this drip tip that's roughly about 5/16 of an inch or about 8mm high isn't far away from the coil. What it does do, is for us direct to lung vapors, we love it. It's a great experience. It really, for a small device, it really is impactful. The flavour, really good. For those who are mouth to lungers, forget it. It's not going to be your device. Waste of time. What do I mean with mouth to lungers? If you just want a soft device that has a longer draw, more like the longer draw when you light the tip of a cigarette, this is not going to be the greatest beginner device, in my opinion. You're probably better off with a device with lower wattage, more features to be able to lower the wattage with than, say, one like that. Saying that, it's not a bad device. It feels pretty robust. Comes in a little handy dandy thingy. I don't know if it's that handy dandy, but anyway, comes in a little cover thing, and I don't know, if I was to give it a score out of 10, in the context of being able to help someone quit smoking for the first time, it would be a 1. Just being honest. If it's somebody who's been vaping for a few months and does like a direct-to-lung experience, does want something smaller, but not too small, something with decent amount of battery lasts you all day, yeah, I'd probably give it a 6, something like that. All in all, flavor's good. There you go. That's that. Oh yes, the Philippines are starting to reverse their ban on vaping. Woohoo! Yeah. Whoop, whoop. There's some music. Yeah, no, seriously, it's really interesting that, and don't get me wrong, I've watched all those, and then for those who are after a little bit of extra light entertainment, hop over to the World Health FCTC Secretariat channel here on YouTube and watch some videos from all the different World Health Organization parties as they give their 2 to 2.5 minute statements. And the guy from the Philippines, yeah, is well worth watching. Well worth watching. Absolutely fantastic. And yeah, cool. So yeah, so that was that. What else do you want to talk about? We talked about Colin's books. I want to talk about a few more of my tweets. Something else I found very, very interesting, and maybe some of you guys may have seen this information or come across it before. Nonetheless, I hadn't till this last week, so I'm going to talk about it. And I thought this was really interesting. Now, this is analysing the tweets. What the fuck? I'm not joking, guys. This is a science study paid by someone. I can't tell off the top of my head. Paid by someone to analyse the tweeting behaviour. The tweeting behaviour of people talking about vaping on Twitter. Then they put us into these various categories. They put people into, I shouldn't say us. They put people who may have talked about vaping on Twitter into certain categories. I don't know why I'm talking like this, but I feel like that if you were going to talk about a paper, you'd have to talk a little bit like this. Yeah, so put us in these categories: advertising, promotion, brand name. Let me get the mouse over here. There we go. Yeah, all these different subjects we were talking about. But you know, of course, I've heard the term, but then to see it in a study where that actually a suspected bot, yes, must have said the wrong thing. Anyway, kind of interesting waste of time and money. Oh, now this is the clanger of the week. I think this is the clanger of the week. And please, you guys, if you've got a tweet of the week, something really exciting, something really interesting, intriguing, no matter what the tweet is, whether it's about vaping or not, please, whether you're watching this live or in the replay, share it in the comments below. Yeah, we'll have a look at it, huh? We will have a look at it. Or share it with me. Tag me in it. And so what do you think of this one, Pip? In the comments of a tweet on Twitter. Tag me at Live Pippers. That's cool. Have a look at this. We're talking about Aboriginal education, schools, Indigenous education. This, for reals, guys, is out of a primary school manual. You might have seen this on the Son of Liberty radio on their last show, as I drew to the attention of Patrick and Kevin there, who nicely shared this. But for those who missed it, once again, primary school in Australia, this is a page within one of their workbooks where they're asking them to circle nicotine products, essentially. I mean, I think there's more questions than answers here, isn't there? Like, why would we want primary school kids? Keep in mind, this is targeted at 5 to 11, maybe 12-year-olds at most, but 5-year-olds to 11-year-olds is the peak cohort demographic, whatever you want to say. What this is actually designed to teach people about NRT. The kids that young need to know about nicotine replacement therapy. Are kids that young smoking that they need to know about nicotine replacement therapy? Do they need to understand that it comes in all the different flavours as well? And is that going to benefit them or their parents? Oh, look, mummy, Look, Daddy, look what we learned at school today. We learned about NRT and can help the family quit smoking. And they say this is the best way. Isn't that a little bit of corporate brainwashing? Like, don't get me wrong, if you can quit by Nicorette, fantastic. Go you. All power to you and your family. But when you're indoctrinating kids a certain brand of a product and you're teaching it like this in such a interesting subject, like, really? Really? Should that be a thing? Should that be a thing? Now, keeping also in mind that as soon as kids turn age 12 in Australia, they can legally buy nicotine, such as Nicorette, such as those lozenges, such as those sprays, and everything displayed on there legally. Now, if nicotine is such a problem, is so detrimental to anybody's health, one, why is it available in Australia from somebody to purchase from age 12? And why is it okay to promote it in the school system with our taxpayers' dollars that put these tools together for kids to learn more about nicotine replacement therapy? I just doesn't sit well with me. I'll be interested to see what other people say. As I have a little vape and a little drink and get ready to wind up, I think. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed spending a little bit of time hanging out with little old me today. As much as I've enjoyed hanging out with you wonderful people. Please spread the word every Friday around this time, wherever you are in the world, whether it's Thursday night there in the States, I think, or wherever you are. Yeah, spread the word. I want your input. I want to know what you guys want to see more of and less of. And if there's anything that you'd like me to raise. I'd like to know whether you would be interested in coming on and sharing your point of view. Maybe telling your quit vaping story, or your quit smoking story, and how you quit smoking. I think that would be pretty cool. Nonetheless, this is that platform where we can all be included, right? But so I can prove that we're all included, I'll just have a glass look over the comments. The Philippines are starting to reverse. Yes, we'll touch on that one. I'll take the snake, turtle, and roo for 400 pepper. Well, for 400, let me have a think about that. I may need to raise some funds for another project that I've got coming up. So hold on to the $400 or 400 pesos or whatever currency you want to pay in for that, and we'll see how we run. Blinky says it's outrageous in my honest opinion. Please come on more, says Blinky. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, look, I've been a little bit hit and miss, I guess is probably the best way to put it. On around the live YouTubes, at least. I've been obviously very active every day for those who follow me on Twitter, and maybe behind the scenes for a lot of people who as I go about my business doing lots of work and advocacy. I've been busy actually in and around doing some of the DIY stuff of late. So for those who are interested in DIY, as I say, I've got another channel called DIY Down Under, which I haven't done a hell of a lot on, but I have got a Facebook group which I released a little recipe for those who like to mix up their own e-liquids. Have a look at the DIY Down Under Facebook page. I've got some new wonder flavors. I've got some, I'm probably not even allowed to talk about it. Top secret, hush hush. Yeah, it happens. I've been around the industry for quite a amount of years, and I have developed quite a broad knowledge of over 2,200 flavors in and around the use of them within within vaping and all that sort of thing. And I hope to be able to talk more about just a few more of them soon when Wonder Flavors may let me. What else is going on? Look, it's all happening, guys. As I say, as I alluded to last week, I've got a lot going on. I want this to be my stable base of every Friday. I want to get involved and start doing maybe a little bit more on the DIY Down Under platform as well for those who are interested in that sort of thing. But look, at the end of the day, I've always only, at the start and at the end of every day since I started vaping, I realized I had that responsibility. It was made very, very clear from the start that whether I wanted to or not, that's not what I signed up for. I signed up to quit smoking, but the responsibility was undeniable, where I felt compelled to help others quit in exactly the same way, and to learn more about the actual science, and to understand where the real science is coming from, and to help educate others to do the same. And all I ask is to you guys, as you go throughout your week this week, is that understand that it's easy for us when we've got nicotine bans and other bans and ridiculous prohibitionary measures, which are just basically built on ideology. You know, while we can survive because we know better and we've probably stocked up and we've got our bit and we can do our bit for those who are vapors already, let's just do our little bit this week just to help somebody. And that doesn't mean that you've got to give them something. Doesn't mean you've got to spoon feed anyone. It just might mean just providing that little bit of information to be able to just help somebody get off the stinkies. And I don't mean within the circles of Twitter, within the echo chamber. I mean in the greater public, where, you know, there's 90% or more of all those people who don't vape. There's all those people left that do smoke. They need to understand the real and relevant science, and they need to know in just a few key terms of that it is safer than smoking. And regardless of what you see on the media, please understand that if you head to the Royal College of Physicians papers, and if you need any help getting any to any papers for those in Australia or even overseas for that matter, legalisevaping.com.au have got some great resources. athra.org.au have got some great resources. There's many people willing to help. Ask the question in the comments below if you need any help to help others understand the benefits of living a healthier, better, safer life than smoking. Those colouring books are bad for little kids. Indeed they are. Anyway, in saying all that, thank you so much all. Thank you once again all for watching. Be in the moment this week as you go about it. And be good to each other. All that. Now, I like to say on this channel, not only be in the moment, this is that moment. I'm Pippa Star. You're all beautiful. Till next time, ciao for now. As I try and roll out a little bit of a vape and a little bit of magic. And a little bit of magic. Make your week magical, guys. Till next time, ciao for now.